Start off. Let's go Oregon, Washington. The last Pac-12 championship, the last Pac-12 matchup ever. Uh, this was an absolute awesome game. I mean, look, Washington got up early. It was 20-10. It was looking pretty hopeless for Oregon. Bo Nix's Heisman was slipping through his fingers, and then you know what? They rallied back and they took a lead,
Yeah,
right?
they,
Or
and
did
that's
they?
that's when I was they did, and that's when I was ready. They scored 21 straight, I believe it was, that to go up 24-20. It was that big drive at the end of the first half for Bo Nix, where the chunk play to Tez Watson or to Tez Johnson. I'm sorry, Tez Johnson, and then they ended up scoring there with the tight end. I believe Ferguson got the touchdown there. But yeah, it was they battled in this game. I mean, Washington jumped on them. You saw the coaching staff here on both sides, the adjustments, the game plans. It was awesome. This was high level football from the Pac-12.
Yeah,
It
but
was
then
awesome.
like they went up 24-20, and then you know what Washington does? The next two drives, score touchdowns.
Boom,
That was a
boom.
unbelievable response. And you know what that happened in the first time that these teams played. Oregon, went down the field, and then all of a sudden, Washington had that dead spot in the third quarter, and then you know what? They came up and made big plays, especially on that final possession early in the season when Michael Penix went down. And they scored with the pass to Roma Dunze. Yeah, but this was an awesome game. Couldn't have asked for a much better game to end the Pac-12 on. Bo Nix, of course. People, this is exactly why, like, if you're a Heisman voter, right? So the voting comes out, if you don't know, listeners, that voting for the Heisman comes out like it came out last Sunday, right? We're recording this on Sunday. You guys will watch this on Monday. Voting came out for the voters. It's like 900 voters came out last Sunday, and then it closes, I believe, Saturday night or Sunday morning or Sunday night, whatever. If you voted before the conference championship games, that's unbelievable.
You should have
You
your
might,
vote taken away.
yeah, I think there's a very good argument to be had there. Now, Bo Nix actually played a pretty decent game, but it wasn't enough. And Michael Penix outplayed him, I thought.
Well, and here's what I'll say about that too. Like typically what makes Bo Nix so successful is he has time in the pocket, right? They run the ball well, and he has space, right? The linebackers creep up, whatever it is. Like Will Stein does a great job of getting space. So run after catch helps him. He's so accurate when he's in rhythm and he's throwing to receivers that they can catch the ball. And those great athletes, Johnson and Franklin, can get the ball and run, right? They did not run the ball well. They ran the ball fine, but they did not run the ball a lot, right? They only had 14 rushing attempts with running backs. They had 34, passing attempts. Like that's not the ratio that Oregon wants. I talked about in the preview, like Bucky Irving is your best player offensively. That was my opinion. I think he's the best player on the team. And he did not get featured. He had 20 yards, right? And yeah, he had 5 touches and threw catching the ball, but like you have to like we saw Dylan Johnson, they found really creative ways to get him the ball. Ryan Grubb and running the ball and doing schemes and all this other stuff. Um, to open lanes for them. And I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I do want to say about the game as a whole and like the 2 seasons for Washington and Oregon. One thing I didn't count because I picked Oregon this game. I thought they were going to cover. I thought they were actually going to blow them out. I thought there was a significant
We
talent
both
gap
took
here.
them, right? That was my only miss. ATS this week. I won 9-1. This was my only miss.
Yeah, and like I feel like a lot of people were on Oregon as well, just expecting them to win. May not cover, but win for sure. This team of Washington is a ton of seniors, a ton of seniors. And this was a different football team in September and now in late November, right, early December, and Jalen McMillan is healthy, right? Like, and we saw that they exposed Oregon's safeties or slot corners, whatever it was. They found matchups for them, and like most teams, right, maybe outside of Georgia the past few years, like you can't go 3 deep in your secondary. We can lock down elite wide receivers. We even saw that like Georgia's all-time great secondary last year, a great front seven, and just like defense in general. Like Ohio State exposed them because they had they could line up with 3 wide receivers and like create mismatches. And that's what this team does. Washington, McMillan, Odunze, and Polk. Like they did a heck of a job finding space for him. Michael Penix does what he does best, where he surveys the field, picks a matchup pre-snap, and then hits him on time and on target. I also want to say about Oregon's season in general, like they did not play many close games. Washington, on the other hand, played a lot of them, right? And like
Yeah.
that experience is invaluable. Not only do you have that senior edge where you're like, I'm not going home. I came back. I could have gone to the NFL, but I'm coming back to win a Pac-12 title and go to the playoffs, like Oregon blew out everybody except Washington. And they played 2 close games against Washington and they lost both of them. I think that's really, really like valuable. We're like Dan Lanning himself and his team has to learn how to win close games and grind it out for 4 quarters. Like that. And that's like you saw them like get jumped on, and then like you saw in these fourth quarters in these games against Washington, like Washington just made plays down the stretch and Oregon did not.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And credit Kalen DeBoer, dude. That dude has lost what 2 games ever as a coach of Washington.
Washington.
It's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. He inherited a ball club that was what sub 500, right around
Yeah, Jimmy
500.
Lake.
Yeah, the old
Jimmy Lake.
the Jimmy Lake era, and I mean, look, unbelievable job he's done, and Ryan Grubb scheming up stuff like that, and defensively, I was more impressed defensively in the first half. Of course, Oregon made adjustments. Credit to Will Stein and Bo Nix, who played very, very well in the second half. Even at the end of the second quarter, they were able to make adjustments pretty early, but like, man, like credit that first half Washington defense getting it done, allowing that offense some breathing room. And then honestly, the second that Oregon scored that touchdown, right, to make it 24-20, Washington goes down and makes a score. What does the Washington defense do? They get a stop when they needed it. They get a stop when they needed it. Just like on that 4th down earlier in the season, they got the stop when they needed it. And then they went down and scored again. So this Washington defense, it's not my favorite defense to watch. It's not my favorite defense. Like I don't drool over this defense, but holy cow, do they get it done when they need to get it done.
There's something to be said about that. I want to take you to the early third quarter, right? Oregon comes out of halftime scoring a touchdown, right? Doing exactly what they need to do. Where they won that middle 8 we talk about a lot of times. The last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of that third quarter. And they came out and they scored a touchdown right after half. And then Michael Penix, makes a bad pass. Kyrie Jackson picks it off. 2 plays later, bam. Washington, the guy makes a heck of a play. Bo Nix, I don't know if you saw him or not, whatever it was down the sideline. They get a stop there. And like that was so big. And it ended up not mattering because Michael Penix turned the ball over on 4th downs like the next play. But like I think that drive they had. But like regardless, like again, response. That's just a sign of good coaching, good leadership, good culture there. That's just hard to predict and like put a metric on or to put like into Vegas rankings. Like it's just like, yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll talk more about college football playoffs after we recap the rest of these games. But Washington punches their ticket in the number 2 spot. Do you think they had an argument for 1?
Yeah, absolutely. You texted me this morning asking for my rankings, my prediction. We put them out on Twitter or whatnot.
Not necessarily your rankings, your predictions, right? Let's be fair. Let's be clear. I think our predictions are a little bit different than necessarily what our actual rankings would be.
And I put Michigan at 1 because I thought that's what they was going to do. But I think there's a real legit case for Washington to be 1. I think resume wise, like I think like I get it. They struggled in late November, but like so did Michigan, right? And like this is a way more impressive win than whatever the heck happened.
And I already know what the comments are thinking. Well, Michigan would be a touchdown favorite over Washington. Sure. Awesome. I awesome. That good for them. Sure. I mean, we're just strictly talking resumes right now. That's all we're talking about.
Yeah, and yeah, I think and Washington would have been nice to be able to pick where they could play. Right now, obviously, both Michigan and Washington kind of do get a tough draw with the Texas and Alabama, 2 teams that are just red hot right now. But yeah, they would love to play in the Rose Bowl and stay on the Pac-12. Like think about how packed that stadium would have been, that West Coast Rose Bowl, the ending of the Pac-12 era, and having to play, Bama having to travel all the way out to California. And instead they go down into the South, into Louisiana, and have to play on turf against Texas.
Yeah, I agree. I believe that line opened up at 4.5. Sure someone in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong in that, but yeah, I mean, look, good luck to Washington. Good luck to Oregon, who I guess they won't be playing in the Rose Bowl because Rose Bowl is a playoff game this year. I don't know. I didn't check.
They're playing Liberty. They're playing Liberty. I believe it's the Cotton Bowl this year. They're playing Liberty, which is a pretty awesome
It's a good
Draw.
opportunity for
Like
Liberty, but
yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
If you're Oregon, I don't know if you're pissed off or what, but Bo Nix already said he's playing, which is awesome. There's going to be a lot of points scored on Oregon's side, and we'll see if Liberty can match it. But we'll talk about them later as well. They did a great job this weekend with their win. I'm sorry, it's a Fiesta Bowl. So it'll be on the West Coast, which is good for Oregon.